Hey everyone, today we're digging into one of the most sought after things in all of sports, speed. If you've ever felt like you're putting in all the work but just not getting any faster, well, this one's for you. Let's dive in. So let me just ask you, straight up, are you really on track to hit your goals this season? For so many athletes, the honest answer is a pretty frustrating no. You show up, you do the work, you run the drills, but you feel like you've just slammed into a wall, especially when it comes to speed. And according to the top coaches out there, this is the root of the problem right here. It's that classic trap. We think the answer is to train harder, when really, we need to train smarter. This is probably the biggest reason why so many athletes stay stuck. And that brings us to our first big idea, the speed plateau. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's that point where it doesn't matter how many extra sprints you do, your times just aren't getting any better. It's a super common problem, but the way out isn't what most people think. And let's be totally clear about why this is such a big deal. High-performance coach Alistair Tate just nails it here. Speed is king. It creates separation, it gives you that extra split second to make a play. It is, so often, the real difference between winning and losing. So, if we're going to break through that plateau, we have to actually understand what speed is. And that takes us to section 2. What is speed, really? Because I can tell you, it is way more than just running fast in a straight line. Okay, this is so important to get. Speed is not one single thing. It is a complex skill. I want you to think of it like baking a cake, right? It's got a bunch of different ingredients. And if you're missing one of those key ingredients, the whole thing just doesn't work. So here are the ingredients. Speed can really be broken down into 4 distinct skills. First, you've got acceleration. That's your first few explosive steps. Then there's maximum velocity, your absolute top-end speed. You've also got change of direction, how quickly you can stop and go another way. And finally, reactive agility, how fast you react to what's happening around you. And here's the kicker. You can be amazing at one of these and just terrible at another. So once you understand those different parts of speed, it suddenly shines a huge spotlight on the 3 big training mistakes that are holding most athletes back. So let's talk about what not to do. And this visual just lays it out perfectly. On the left, you have the wrong way, just running more, working harder, following some generic program you found online. And on the right, you have the right way, the smart way. It's all about quality, focusing on your mechanics, and having a plan that's personalized to you. Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Mistake number 1, and oh man, I see this all the time, is training for speed when you're already exhausted. Like deciding to run extra sprints after a 2-hour practice? Here's why that's so bad for you. Speed is a nervous system thing. For you to be explosive and fast, your nervous system has to be totally sharp, firing on all cylinders. When you're tired, it's dull. You're not actually training to be fast. You're just training your body to be good at running slow while you're tired. All you're doing is reinforcing bad habits. The second huge mistake is basically training with a blindfold on. You're out there grinding, but you have zero real data to tell you if what you're doing is actually working. You're just guessing. This quote really says it all. You can't improve what you don't measure. Think about it. Do you actually know if your weakness is that explosive first step, or is it your top-end speed? If you don't know, then all your training is just a shot in the dark. And that leads us right into the third mistake, which is honestly the one that most people miss completely. Ignoring technique and proper running mechanics. I absolutely love this analogy. You would never, ever add the roof to a house until the framework is solid, right? Well, trying to add more power and speed on top of sloppy mechanics is exactly the same thing. It's building on a weak foundation. It's just not going to work. Okay, so if that's everything we're doing wrong, then how in the world do we fix it? Well, that brings us to the solution in section 4, unlock your speed profile. This is where we stop guessing and we start getting strategic. The big breakthrough here is to find out exactly what your personal strengths and weaknesses are. When you identify your unique speed profile, you can stop wasting time on all those generic drills and laser focus on the specific things that are actually going to make you faster. And here's how you do it. This system lays out these 5 core tests, and you'll see how each one targets a different piece of the puzzle. The 10-meter sprint, that's your takeoff. The flying 30, that's measuring your max velocity. That 5-10-5 test, that's all about your change of direction. This is how you get the real data you need to stop guessing. Now, once you have that data, you finally get to the fun part. The last section, train smarter, not harder.
This is where you see the actual, tangible proof that this whole approach really works.
So let me tell you about Jordan. She's a perfect real-world example. She's a 21-year-old basketball ref, and everyone kept telling her she needed to get faster. She was training hard, but she just couldn't figure it out. She honestly just thought, well, I guess I wasn't born fast. But then they assessed her profile, and they found the problem. It was all in her acceleration mechanics. So they built a targeted program just to fix that. And the results were just insane. I mean, look at this. After only 6 weeks, she dropped nearly half a second from her 20-meter sprint and over a full second from her agility test. That is a massive, game-changing improvement, and it all came from training smarter, not just harder. And this really brings us to the most powerful idea of this whole thing. Speed is not some magical genetic gift that you either have or you don't. Speed is a skill. And just like shooting a basketball or throwing a football, it's a skill that can be learned, it can be coached, and it can be improved. So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. The next time you head out to the track or the field, I want you to ask yourself this one question. What are you actually training right now? Are you training your fatigue, or are you training your speed? Because truly understanding that difference, well, that might be the breakthrough you've been looking for all along.